Guys, in this video, I'm going to talk about the truth about losing the love handles. I will literally share with you the step-by-step system that I use to help my clients get these kind of results as you're seeing in front of you. And if you're thinking, yo, man, this might not work for me, I'm just not disciplined, or I'm too old, or I live a sedentary lifestyle, I'm not an athlete. Guys, the guys that I'm about to show you literally all live sedentary lifestyles, okay? This guy was a data analyst. Look at it before, look at the after. This is Bilal. As you guys see, he was looking like a whole whale. So if you look like this, bro, please pay attention because I'm literally going to share with you some valuable information that no one is talking about on YouTube. And this guy works as a software engineer, right? So he literally sits all day, and we were still able to get him shredded. This guy's a banker. So look at the before, look at the after. I mean, it speaks for itself. The fat accumulation he had versus now, right? And we have Mr. Cass, who's a trucker. And look at the before, man. Look at the after. Back is shredded, lean, got rid of those love handles, the lower back fat that so many people struggle with. And here we have a financial advisor who looks amazing. This was a 3-month transformation. Look at the before, look at the after. We got the man ready. We got the man lean. So if you're actually struggling with this lower back fat area, I'm going to teach you how to get rid of that in this video. Now, check this out, man. I was also able to get rid of my love handles. I'm going to show my transformation on here too. But check this out. Even after getting run over by a car with 6 fractures in my spine, those who've been watching the channel, you guys know last year I got run over by a car during May 25th. So this was May 25th of 2024. I was crossing the street. I got run over by a car. Long story short, I fractured 6 bones in my spine. And literally 6 months later, despite my fractures and injuries, I went from this to the guy on the left to the guy on the right. And as you see, the lower back, the love handle area, I completely eviscerated the fat there. So obviously, not only does the system I have work for people who aren't even athletes, people who work sedentary lifestyles, but it worked for me despite me dealing with 6 fractures in my spine. So I obviously know what the fuck I'm talking about. I wasn't doing any crazy back exercises or fucking some Spartan style workouts, right? I just understand a system and know how to implement a system that I use on myself and on all my clients. And I'm going to talk about that in this video. Now, let's first actually understand why. Why do you have love handles in the first place, okay? The reason basically is what you've been eating for years. Now, guys, pay attention, okay? Because we've been raised on ultra-processed foods that our bodies were never meant to eat in the first place. Foods that our bodies do not even recognize, especially if you live in America, okay? Seed oils, foods that have additives, chemicals, ingredients that we can't even pronounce. If you guys go to a grocery store, before you check out the grocery, take a look at all the ingredient labels and the stuff that you're buying, and you'll see a bunch of ingredients, foods in there that you can't even pronounce, chemicals, additives. And essentially, these kinds of foods over time causes 2 big problems. Number one is we unknowingly get addicted to these foods. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever tried to put down a bag of Dorito chips once it's in your mouth, but do you guys know how hard that shit is, bro? Once you're eating these fucking foods, you know how hard it is to put down a bag of fucking Doritos, bro, right? Because these companies spend millions and millions of dollars to find out what are the most addictive chemicals and ingredients to come up with so that you can keep buying their foods. And essentially what's happening is that is ruining your body, right? That's why your body looks the way it does. And secondly, these kinds of foods fuck with the hormones like testosterone, estrogen, and cortisol, which get thrown off completely off balance, bro. Okay? So this causes you to overeat and gain weight because if you're surrounding yourself with hyper palatable foods that are highly addictive, processed foods, it becomes impossible to put these foods down. Okay? These foods are literally engineered to make us crave more and more of it. And they're engineered to make us feel less full so that we can buy more of it because these companies want to maximize their profits. You're up against companies that are spending millions and hundreds and millions of dollars to come up with the most addictive recipes, okay? And the more we keep eating these kinds of food, this is what causes the accumulation of fat storage in the lower back area, okay? And that is the most stubborn area of fat in the entire human body, and it is the hardest to get rid of. That's why I decided to make this video, because I'm going to talk about things I've never talked about before, okay? So this causes, like we talked about, your hormones to be out of whack, which is further accelerating this fat accumulation in the love handle area, which is why it makes it so hard to actually fix. Now, if we combine this with the typical American sedentary lifestyle, the 9 to 5ers, right? Sitting all day, barely moving. You work a desk job, you're in front of a computer screen, right? Your body adapts to holding even more fat in that area. And the longer that you have that fat there in the love handles, the harder and the more stubborn it is to actually burn it. So if you've had that lower back fat for 10, 15 years, bro, the longer that you wait to actually fix this, the harder that it's going to get to burn off. Okay. So I hope you guys are paying attention. Now, that's why so many people look like this, right? Look like a whale, look like a pear, however you want to call it. So let's actually talk about where most people go wrong before we get into the step-by-step system. And this part actually kind of makes me laugh, guys, because, guys, I've been doing this for 10 years. Okay. I've been studying nutrition. I've been training for 10 years. And these are the most common misconceptions that you'll see online that you hear everybody say. When I talk to guys all the time and I get on calls with them, consultations, guys, they all say the same thing. Oh, I do fasting. All right, you do fasting, but you still look like shit. You're still fat, my man, because losing weight and losing fat are not the same thing. The whole purpose of what I'm going to be talking about in this video is to actually drop your body fat and increase your lean muscle mass. And when you actually fast, you're negatively affecting the potential that your body has to build muscle and burn fat because you're just losing weight. Losing weight is not the same as losing fat. I've seen guys lose 50, 60 pounds and they'll still have bitch tits and man titties and they'll still have a stomach after losing all that weight. Imagine doing all that hard work and you're not even happy with the way you look like, right? That's what happens when you do things like fasting and crash diets, okay? It's not about losing weight, guys. Number two, people that are cutting calories way too low. The second guy that I showed you on there, the software engineer, Bilal, he came to me and he was eating 1,300 calories a day, bro. He was not burning any fat. He was stuck, okay? Because people like to cut their calories way too low. And this actually ends up shutting down your metabolism, which we're going to talk about later, okay? This is a common mistake. Common mistake number three, people will say, oh, I'm in a calorie deficit, so I'll lose fat everywhere, right? Guys, calorie deficit is going to help you lose weight, but it's not going to change your body composition, okay? If you want to change your body composition, listen to what I'm going to talk about in this video because that's the only way to get rid of those love handles because you can lose all the weight that you want. At the end of that weight loss phase, you're still going to have that lower back fat there, okay? Number four, working out too few times a week. So a lot of these fitness influencers like to get on here and they like to lie. Oh, you can just look great and just look amazing with 3 days a week because what they're trying to do is they're trying to sell you something easy, right? They're trying to make it sound easy so you buy their shit. But I'm here to tell you the truth of what it actually takes. Guys, 3 days is not enough to actually force your body to change. Okay, that's why all my clients work out 4 to 5 days a week, which I'm going to talk about later. And that actually forces your body to change if you're structuring the workouts properly, like I'll talk about later. Okay. Number five, you'll hear some people say, man, I know what I need to do, man. I just need to be consistent with my diet. Well, consistency is not the answer. It's about having a strategy, bro. Because you can be consistent with the wrong shit and you're not going to get anywhere, right? Chances are you don't have the right strategy. I track my protein daily. I hear this all the time. I think I hear this every day. If I had $1 every time I heard this, I'd probably be a millionaire. I probably wouldn't even be making these videos, right? Oh, I track my protein every day. Well, dude, how long have you been tracking your protein for? And you still look like shit. You don't even have abs. Your back is still fat because you see, you have to understand how to manipulate your carbs and your fats so that you can manipulate your body fat storage levels, as I'm going to talk about later, things I've never really talked about before. Okay. And lastly, I do 10K steps per day. This is a very common one, man. I do 10K steps per day. Well, how's that working out for you, bro? Because you still look the same, right? Walking is not going to change your body composition. Yeah, you're going to get active and you might, you know what I'm saying, burn a little bit more calories, but that has nothing to do really with changing your body composition, okay? So if you're doing any one of these 7 things or have said any one of these 7 things, just pay attention, bro, and take some humble pie because like I said in other videos, I've probably paid for over $12,000 in coaching myself, okay? So all the information I'm sharing with you guys, it took me thousands of dollars to learn, trial and error as well. So pay attention, okay? I'm going to give you guys the actual solution to get rid of the love handles once and for all. Now, there's going to be a 3-step process, essentially, that you need to understand so that you can implement and actually get rid of those love handles that are ruining your physique, bro. You can't even wear fitted shirts. You know what I'm saying? You got to wear the size up or the XLs. So this is the 3-step process. on how you can actually manipulate your body composition, because that is the answer to losing the love handles. It's not about dropping weight. It's about manipulating your body composition so that your body fat begins to get lower and lower and lower consistently as you drop the weight. Okay. So this is a 3-step rule. Number 1 is dropping fat while increasing muscle mass. Number 2 is tapping into the stubborn fat areas by manipulating your carbs and your fats properly, like I talked about. And number 3 is implementing fasted cardio and a supplement protocol at the final stages of this fat loss phase that I've never really shared on this channel before. So we're going to get into it, guys. All right. So how do we actually drop fat instead of weight? Okay. We do this by maximizing lean muscle tissue on the body. All these guys that tell me, yo, I do running or I do these crazy cardio routines. I'm like, bro, that's not maximizing your muscle. That's not maximizing lean tissue. The reason why that's important is because the more muscle that you have, the more fat that your body is able to tap into and burn. Okay. And that's one of the bottlenecks of why you cannot get rid of your love handles, because you're not maximizing the lean muscle mass that you have, which is negatively impacting your ability to manipulate your body composition. Okay. Now, here are some pointers that you're going to want to take note of. Number 1 is you're going to want to lift 4 to 5 days a week. Like I said, bro, 3 days is just not enough. All right. I've helped so many people that have come to my program and they're training 3 days a week. And as soon as I switch them to my style of training, my style of workouts, my programming from 4 to 5 days a week, their body just starts changing, right? Shout out to Greg O'Gallagher, who says train 3 days a week, right? Shout out to Jeff Nippert. I've had guys come on my program that have done Jeff Nippert's program. They've done Greg O'Gallagher's program, and they looked phenomenal after coming through my program, right? So 3 days is not enough. My transformations speak for themselves. You should be doing 10 to 20 sets per body part every single week. Guys, and these are gems, so please take notes. If you're doing a workout program and you're working out 4 to 5 days a week, make sure that every single body part is being hit a total of 10 to 20 sets per week. This is like the sweet spot of maximizing your physique and literally forcing your body to change dramatically. Okay. Second thing, intaking 1 gram per pound of lean body mass. Okay. Not per pound of body weight, per pound of lean body mass. So what am I talking about? If you weigh 250 pounds, okay, but your lean weight is 200 pounds, you should not be eating 250 grams of protein. Okay. You're overeating protein, and that is not necessary. You should be eating 200 grams of protein. So let's say you weigh 200 pounds and you know that you need to get a 160, 165, because that's the way that you're going to look lean at. You should be eating 165 grams of protein. All right. I hope that's making sense. Now, the last thing is avoid fasting or extreme cardio routines. The reason you should avoid fasting is because when you do not have amino acids in your bloodstream for a long period of time, the body begins to burn muscle. And that's what we want to avoid, because muscle is what allows our metabolism and our body composition to actually change in our favor. Okay. So extreme cardio routines also are a big problem, because number 1, you run the risk of burning muscle with extreme cardio routines. If you're running, I don't have any of my guys running, bro. None of my guys do any crazy cardio. None of my guys do any crazy running, right? They just literally do simple walking. You know what I'm saying? So to maximize the amount of muscle on your physique is the goal. So doing cardio, guys, you should be doing cardio, but you should be doing walking, fast-paced walking 4 to 5 days a week at 20 minutes to start, right? And your heart rate, if you have an Apple Watch or you have like a Fitbit, should be at around 130 to 145 beats per minute. This is the fat burning zone, okay? When you're doing extreme cardio routines, you're burning muscle and glycogen, but what we want to do is burn fat. Okay, that's why you should track your heart rate and make sure whatever cardio routine you're doing, bro, make sure your heart rate is not above 140, 145, because also what happens is if your heart rate is too high, it's actually going to trigger you to get more hungry. And if you get more hungry, you're going to eat more. And if you're going to eat more, you're going to look like more of a whale. All right. And that's what we're trying to fix. So this is literally how to actually drop fat, not just weight. Lifting 4 to 5 days a week, making sure that every muscle is being hit 10 to 20 sets per week, right? Intaking 1 gram per pound of lean body mass. And number 3 is avoid fasting and extreme cardio routines and stick to fast walking so that your heart rate is between 130 to 145 beats per minute. All right. That's the first part of actually getting rid of these love handles by changing and manipulating our body composition. Now, let's actually get into the meat and potatoes of this video. Step 2, tapping into the stubborn fat areas by manipulating our carbs and fats. Up to this point, you've probably heard all these YouTubers talking about protein this, protein that, protein, track your protein. I'm here to tell you this. If you're not paying attention to your carbs and fats, that is why you look the way you do. And that is why my clients look the way they do. Because I have a system that I'm going to share with you now that actually helps them burn these stubborn fat areas by manipulating the carbs and the fats. Now, before we get into it, let's just get this out the way. Every single meal that you eat should be based on whole foods. Because like we talked about, all these fucking bullshit ingredients food that we're being fed is the reason why you look the way you do, ultimately speaking. So this is how we will begin to reverse the years of damage that you've done to your body. All right. The years of damage that you've negatively affected your body composition and gotten that body fat high as hell. So obviously, I don't think I need to give examples of whole foods because that should be self-explanatory. Single ingredient foods, potatoes, rice, avocados, eggs, whole foods, guys. You know what I'm saying? Turkey, bacon, etc. Fruits are great as well. Now, as long as you eat the right amount of macronutrients every day, coming from the right food source, like I talked about, whole foods, your body will begin to change its body composition, and it's going to start to drop those stubborn fat areas just by cleaning up your food selection and eating the right amount of macronutrients. Huncho, what are the right amount of macronutrients? Well, that's what we're going to be discussing in this video, so pay attention. Now, before we get into it, I need you guys to understand macros and understand stubborn fat and how that actually works. So protein is responsible for rebuilding muscle tissue. Okay, so when you eat protein, that protein rebuilds muscle. Fats are responsible for our hormone production, okay? And carbs are responsible for muscle glycogen and muscle energy. Now, here's the problem. Most people are eating way too many carbs, which causes their muscle glycogen to always be full. On that picture that you guys see here, this is a picture of a muscle, okay? When you eat a lot of carbohydrates, those carbohydrates, they go inside the muscle, and that muscle expands. It gets filled with glycogen, which is essentially muscle energy. When that happens, the body will never burn stubborn body fat because the body first uses muscle glycogen as fuel. And if there's always muscle glycogen, then the body will not use stubborn body fat as fuel because it is using the muscle glycogen as fuel. So I hope you guys are paying attention. If your muscle glycogen stores are always full with carbohydrates, the body is never going to burn stubborn body fat, okay? Because the body uses muscle glycogen as the first fuel source. And when the muscle glycogen gets depleted, only then does the body actually begin to tap into those stubborn body fat areas. Are you guys following along? This is why it's important to manipulate carbohydrates correctly, as I'm going to show you guys in this video. Now, here's another problem. Some people, they'll be like, yeah, bro, I know this, man. Carbs are bad. Carbs make you fat. So they will literally tank their carbs way too fucking low for way too long. And this causes their metabolism to actually shut down and not burn fat. Okay. So too little carbs for too long is not good either, bro. But too many carbs is not good either. So how do we actually fix this problem, right? Because if you eat too little carbs, you run the risk of shutting your metabolism, which happens to a lot of people, bro. And if you eat too many carbs, you're never going to deplete your glycogen stores enough so the body can actually start tapping into those stubborn fat areas like the love handles, bro. So how do we actually fix this? We fix this by having certain days of lower carbs followed by certain days of higher carbs. So we actually trick the body into burning stubborn body fat while also tricking the body into not slowing down the metabolism, which results in ongoing stubborn fat loss progress every single week. That's how I'm able to keep my clients making fat loss progress every single week, because we have strategic days in the nutrition plan that we have lower carbs, right? But we also have strategic days in the nutrition plan where we have higher carbs, which tricks the body into not shutting down, okay? So here's an example of how to actually do this, all right? So let's say you're a 250-pound male, right? Let's say you're at 25% body fat, and let's say you're at 6 feet. Unfortunately, I can't go into every single body weight situation. So let's say if you're 250 pounds, you hit the jackpot because I'm going to help you out, okay? So if you're 250 pounds and you're 25% body fat, this is how your macros should actually look like, all right? On workout days, 200 carbs, 200 protein, 65 fats. On your rest days, 150 carbs, All right. So notice how on your rest days that you're not working out, you have less carbohydrates, right? This is the first step. Always eat around 50 grams of carbs less on your rest days because this is going to help not to overfill the glycogen stores so your body can actually begin to tap into fat as fuel. I'm going to repeat that one more time. On your rest days, you should always eat 50 grams of carbs less, okay? Because this is going to allow you to start pulling glycogen down so that your body can begin to actually tap into those stubborn fat and use the stubborn fat as fuel, okay? Now, let's say you've been doing this for like a few weeks. Every week you're looking better. Once the fat loss begins to stall, you're going to want to manipulate your carbohydrates again. You're going to lower the carbs again by 50 grams. So notice this time we're eating 150 grams on workout days, and we're eating 100 grams of carbs on your rest days. Okay, so you guys see how the carbs, you start to lower them consistently every time that you stall with your progress, right? But there's a sweet spot, and we're going to talk about that. Now, once the fat loss stalls again, let's say 3-4 weeks later, the fat loss just stalls. Now it's time to lower the carbs and the fats at the same time. Okay. The reason we're going to lower the fats as well is because we do not want to completely tank the carbs. Because like I talked about before, if you lower your carbs way too low, your metabolism is going to shut down and you're not going to lose any fat. Right. So that's why we not only pull down from carbs this time, but we're also going to pull down from fats. Okay. So guys, pay attention. This is how you actually lower your fats and your carbs. Right. So this is the adjustment that I made. On workout days, you're going to eat 120 grams of carbs. And on rest days, you're going to eat 70 grams of carbs, right? But notice the fats. We decreased them by 10 grams. So check this out, man. The reason that we didn't lower carbs by 50 grams is because having carbs at 50 grams on rest days is dangerous territory. Why? Because that's typically where the body starts to shut down its metabolism. So in order to avoid that, we only drop the carbs by 30 grams a day, and then we drop the fats by 10 grams. So guys, this might be a technical conversation, but I hope this is making sense. Notice how we're manipulating the carbs up to a certain point, and once we get to the danger territory of the carbohydrates being too low, which is around 50 to 70 grams a day, you're going to want to start to lower the fats down, and notice how the fats went from 65 grams to 55 grams a day. Now, you got to be careful when you're lowering your fats, because if you lower the fats too low, you run the risk of shutting down your testosterone, and basically your dick isn't going to work properly, if we're being honest. So the fats should never go below 40 grams a day. So if you're tracking your macros or you're doing your own nutrition plan and you start to realize that your fats are like below 40 grams, your fats should really never be below 40 grams. Okay. Because like I said, this can blunt testosterone and fat loss. All right. Secondly, your carbs should never really need to be lowered below 70 grams a day. I see this mistake a lot, guys, right? I correct a lot of people's programs, right? I do a lot of consultations. I have a coaching program, and one of the most common mistakes is people having their calories way too low, okay? Your carbs should never be below 70 grams a day. So utilizing this protocol of adjusting your fats and carbs, like I talked about, you will literally be able to burn about 80% of your love handles off. Okay, assuming you're doing everything that I just said correctly. Okay, you're eating 1 gram per pound of lean body mass, right? You're eating 50 grams of carbs less on your rest days, and you continue to drop your carbs up until that point that I talked about, and then you begin to drop your fats. And remember, do not drop your fats below 40 because your testosterone is going to suffer. Okay, so literally up to this point, your love handles are going to be like 70 to 80% gone. Now, people always like to ask, when should you do high carb days, right? Guys, look, high carb days should only be done when you spend a whole week without any fat loss progress. All right. If you start following these macros, you start adjusting them, you do your own nutrition plan, you do your own everything, and you realize like, damn, bro, I'm not dropping weight this week. All right. That means that your metabolism has shut down due to low carbohydrate intake for an extended period of time. And this is what some people don't understand. If you do low carbs, as we're talking about here, right? Because we're manipulating our carbs to be low. After a few weeks, after several weeks, your metabolism just begins to get shut down. And when you get to this point, it's time to trick your body into giving it a high carb day, right? And this is what rekindles your metabolism. And it tricks the body of thinking, oh shit, we have enough carbs. Let me start burning fat again. Okay. So That's the answer to the question, what about high carb days? So let me talk about how to actually implement a high carb day. So pay attention. This is the way to do a proper high carb day. And I don't see a lot of YouTubers talking about this. So check this out. You're going to increase your carbs by 2 or by 2.5. Okay. So if you were eating 100 grams of carbs on your workout days, a high carb day for you is going to be like 200 grams of carbs or 250 grams of carbs. But you're also going to decrease protein. And this is what people don't talk about. You're going to literally take the protein that you're eating on regular days and you're going to multiply that by 0.7. Okay. You're actually going to lower your protein. The reason we're doing this is because we're making caloric room for this high carb day so that we don't go above our calories. Okay. And lastly, you're going to lower your fats to 40 grams a day. The reason that you lower your fats to 40 grams a day on your high carb day is because if you do high fats with high carbs, it's a high likelihood that you're going to just store a lot of body fat when you mix high carbs with high fats. So lowering our fat low prevents us from storing those high carbohydrates as fats, and it ends up working beautifully. So here's an example of the macros for a high carb day for that 250 pound male like we were talking about. 250 carbs, 140 protein, and 40 fats, right? Point and simple, right? If you've gotten all the way this far to the video, guys, just take notes because this is highly technical stuff, but I'm literally giving you the blueprint, right? So that you can literally get rid of these love handles on your own and tap into that stubborn body fat. So I'm hoping you guys are taking notes and even taking screenshots of the slides. Now, this should only be done one time a week, right? You'll hear these guys online, oh, I do a high carb day like 3-4 times a week. Guys, typically speaking, for 95% of people, a high carb day is only needed one time a week. And this is just to trick the body into restarting its metabolism and continuing the fat burning, right? This is how you tap into stubborn fat areas without blunting your progress, because you have one day a week where you're giving that metabolism some fuel to actually keep burning every single week and keep losing fat, all right? Now, from here, we enter the final stage of burning love handles or burning that stubborn body fat area. Because if you've literally done everything I've told you up to this point, you're going to be able to get rid of 80% of all that stubborn body fat. For some people, that's enough. They don't need to do fasted cardio. They don't need to do this supplement protocol that I'm about to talk about. But for some people, they will need to do this. So pay attention, okay? Step 3 is fasted cardio, supplement secrets that I've never shared before, and fat secrets. So here we go, guys. So before doing fasted cardio in the morning, right, when you're at that last stage, let's say you followed everything I've said to this point, and you're noticing that you hit a stalling point, right? You're doing the one high carb day a week. Your fats are down to 40 grams. You know what I'm saying? Your carbs are getting low. You're going to want to implement fasted cardio. And you're going to want to take these 3 supplements before doing the fasted cardio, because this is going to give you a pretty darn good boost, especially at burning the stubborn fat. Number 1, yohimbine hydrochloride. Now, before I say this, I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a doctor. So don't do what I do because I'm not trying to get sued. I'm just telling you what I do and what works really good for my clients. So yohimbine hydrochloride, 10 to 15 milligrams. Now, this supplement has literally been proven that it actually helps burn stubborn body fat areas. So you're going to want to take all these supplements together 30 minutes before doing the fasted cardio. L-carnitine tartrate, which is an amino acid found in red meat that helps use fatty acids as fuel source, okay? And lastly, you're going to want to add caffeine to the mix because caffeine also helps accelerate and burn fat. Now, if you don't do the previous steps, if you haven't been tracking your macros, you haven't been dialing in your nutrition, you haven't been following everything to a T, and you think that doing these supplements are like an easy fix, you're an idiot. Just point blank, all right? Doing this protocol and not doing everything else I talked about is not going to give you any results, okay? So I hope you're following along, taking notes, and actually understanding that the most important thing is to do step number 2 that we talked about. And then only when you do step number 2 and you hit a stalling point, that's when you should do step number 3, okay? Now, when following this protocol, right, let's say you took the supplements, you did your 30 to 40 minutes of cardio in the morning fasted, you're going to want to do 2 things that are a must. Okay, number 1 is you're going to want to skip carbs your first meal. Your first meal should not have any carbs. It could be steak and eggs. It could be eggs and avocado. It could be steak. It could be chicken thighs, whatever, but no carbs, okay? Because carbohydrates will blunt the effect of the yohimbine. And the yohimbine is responsible for burning stubborn body fat, okay? And number 2, You're going to want to lower your fats to 40 grams a day. Okay. At this stage of the fat burning process of the love handles, right? Your dietary fats are actually going to prevent you from burning your stubborn body fat. Okay. If your fats are too high, your body is not going to want to burn off that stubborn body fat. Okay. We need to lower our fat intake at this point, so we allow the body to burn off the actual stubborn body fat area, such as the love handles. If you eat too many dietary fats, right, and you're at these last stages and you still have that little bit of fat on your love handles, guys, you need to lower your fats. And I suggest lowering them to 40 grams a day. Okay. Now, to gauge your love handle progress, the best way to do this is to pinch your skin and take videos and photos, right? Because the mirror, guys, if we're being honest, the mirror lies to us, right? We think we look great. You take a picture of yourself and you realize, holy shit, I look like shit, right? So what I do is I'll take videos of myself, right, doing a full 360, and I'm able to compare before and afters, right? Now, one thing that you guys want to stay away from is all these crazy cheat meals that you guys see online. You're going to want to not do that, okay? Because if you eat the crazy cheat meals, that's going to fill out the shrunken fat cells in the lower love handles, which we've been working all week on burning and getting rid of, right? You've been working 7 days on getting rid of those love handles. You started to oxidize those fat cells. Guys, if you have one big cheat meal, you're going to refill those fat stores again, and you're going to lose all that progress, right? So if you're really committed to burning off these love handles, the stubborn fat area, guys, follow step 1. Work out 4 to 5 days a week. Follow the cardio recommendations. Number 2 is properly manipulate your carbs and fats. Stop obsessing over protein, right? And then number 3 is do this fasted cardio with this supplement protocol. And I guarantee you're going to come back to this video and you're going to be like, yo, Hancho, you put me on some fucking game, right? And guys, that is literally the system. That is the system. There is no secret. There is no secret pill. None of that. That is the system to actually get rid of these love handles. And guys, it takes some effort. It takes some time. But guess what? Those 5 to 10 to 15 years of bad habits can literally be reversed in 6 months. If you dedicate yourself 6 months, right, like this guy, Noé, you can literally go from looking like he did to looking shredded as hell, okay? So if you're at the end of this video, bro, look, thank you for watching. Please hit the like button before clicking off. And dude, if you want some coaching to get some fast freaking results, I literally tell all my clients every single thing that they need to do every single day, every single week. Everything, no guesswork. All they got to do is open their mouth and eat what I tell them, right? And show up to the gym. Everything else, I literally have a dummy full step system on how to actually get ripped, especially the love handle. So if you're interested in actually taking your physique to that next level, hit the link in the description and we'll see if you're a good fit for the program, man. But anyways, guys, Southpaw Huncho, man, that was the video. Checking out. Peace.